The Kerbal Space Program, the pinnacle of Kerbin's technological advancements, the well-known and well-respected organization discovering the wonders of the Kerbal system and engineering and scientific betterments for all Kerbal kind. And so today, they are utilizing complex shuttlecraft to construct orbital space stations and so much more. And yet, so many of these advancements are due to the hard work and determination of 4 pioneering Kerbonauts. These are the stories of the brave explorers who dared to travel faster and higher than those who preceded them. The Trailblazers, the first ones to leave the confines of Kerbin's atmosphere, the first ones to orbit the planet, and yes, even the first ones to set foot on another celestial body. The Kerbals who would defy the Kraken and touch the Mun. Officially, the program knew them as Kerbalnaut Group 1, but most of Kerbin knows them better as the Moho 4. They are the original 4. Bob Kerman, the second Kerbal to launch into space, and best known for his role as the scientist in the original group of 4 Kerbalnauts, grew up near the Highlands in northern Kerbin. He was the oldest of 2 siblings who came from a family background of pioneers and explorers. Some of his ancestors sailed the ancient oceans in search of new places to live. During his time in primary school, Bob was an exceptional student. Twice, he so impressed his teachers that he was able to skip a grade. It was also during this time that he became fascinated with flying. During his secondary education, he started a model airplane club, and for his hard work, his parents gifted him a ride in an airplane. After that, he was completely hooked. He began heading over to the local airport, where he would do odd jobs in exchange for rides, or sometimes even flying lessons. When he graduated from secondary school, the Great Global Conflict had recently started, and upon the urging of his parents, he joined the military. Now, he was extremely smart and decided to apply for the Naval Academy. With ease, he passed the entrance exam, but because he skipped grades, he was too young to enter the academy right away, so he went to a naval prep school for a year. Due to the war, students were rushed as quickly as possible through the academy. This meant that Bob's post-secondary education was cut short to just 3 years. During that time, Bob became an avid sailor and learned how to use all the boats to which the academy had access. Upon graduation, Bob became an ensign in the Navy and earned a science degree. During the war, Bob was assigned to a destroyer. His first serious mission was to help rescue almost 200 sailors after their ship was hit by an enemy torpedo. During his deployment, his ship helped several other ships and fought off an intense attack by enemy aircraft. Near the end of the war, Bob became a gunnery officer for the anti-aircraft guns on the ship. Here, Bob served until the end of the war. After the war, Bob applied for flight training to become a naval aviator. He struggled with his flight training and risked dropping out of the program. In order to help improve, he took private flight lessons at a civilian school. The Navy was not very happy about this, but Bob was able to earn his civilian pilot's license, and his skill as a pilot did get better. He then was able to pass his initial flight training and went on to pass his advanced training, which meant that he had to be able to land on an aircraft carrier. For several years, he flew in a Corsair squadron, but after a few years, he was chosen to attend the Navy's test pilot school. As a test pilot, he helped conduct atmospheric experiments to learn about the conditions at higher altitudes. He also tested out the Banshee to see if it would work well as a jet fighter for the Navy. He also got into some serious trouble for making some very low passes near the base during one of his flights. On one occasion, Bob and his wing commander were flying Banshees. Bob's commander had issues with his oxygen, but Bob was able to talk to him over the radio. Bob's guidance helped save his commander's life, and they were both able to land safely. Bob loved flying, so, at his request, he remained a test pilot. Here, he tested many planes for the Navy, including the Demon, the Crusader, the Skyray, the Tiger, and the Cutlass. The Cutlass being one of the most dangerous. During testing, Bob found that the plane was unrecoverable after a particular maneuver and had to eject. Bob's reports were valuable to the Navy, and as such, they canceled several orders for the new plane. Later, Bob would become an instructor at the test pilot school. All the while, he continued his education at the Naval College. By the time he graduated, he had logged more than 3,600 hours of flying. The Kerbal Space Program began looking for the best of the best in regards to pilots. Bob was selected from about 100 candidates. Initially, the program was only going to select 3 Kerbals, but there were 4 that were just too promising. Bob was among these 4, who included Jebediah, Bill, and Valentina. Bob would end up being assigned to fly the second suborbital mission after Jebediah. Jeb's mission was a success, making him the first Kerbal into space. Bill would end up being the first Kerbal to orbit the planet, but Bob would end up having a chance to achieve his own Kerbin first record. After Project Moho came Project Twins. Project Twins was to test methods, procedures, and technologies for the Kerbal project. It was during one of these test flights that Bob would conduct the first extravehicular activity, or EVA. Here, he performed science experiments and tested methods for the maneuvering while on EVA. As the allotted time for his EVA came to an end, Bob said over the radio, "I'm coming back in, and it's the saddest moment of my life." It was also during this flight that Bob would attempt the first orbital rendezvous. Initially, it was thought by the Kerbal Space Program that pilots would be able to perform rendezvous just by eyeballing it. This turned out to not be the case, and rendezvous was a lot harder than they thought. So, for every subsequent mission, computers helped program the maneuvers in order to perform these. But even this would not be the end to Bob's career with the Kerbal Space Program. There were still greater things to come and firsts to be achieved. Next week, the series will tell the story of Valentina Kerbin and how she, Bill, Jeb, and Bob traveled to new heights with the Kerbal project. This is Echo 3, and thanks for joining me to discuss the early life of Bob Kerman. I will see you next time.